Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Surprise, Neo traders. How are we doing, guys? God bless each and every single one of you. Today, we're going to be covering stock ticker NIO, baby, and giving you good news. Finally, some good news on Neo stock. Going over the deliveries as well as a potential bottom signal on Neo, potentially a breakout right after seeing the first green week in forever. So if you guys are new to the channel, hey, wait, right? Do me a favor, slap the subscribe button. And let's get straight into it. So looking at NIO on the daily time frame, you can see off of that touch of bullish divergence that we covered on the freaking stock, making a lower low in the price, but a higher low in the RSI. You saw a nice pump from the lows, about 10%, seeing a breakout of that downsloping resistance. And now is the test, right? You're at a point of reflection in which you'll decide on the daily time frame, am I ready to bottom? And the reason I say that is you're at the 50 line on the RSI. Typically big moves happen from the 50 line. So if you see hesitation here and you see this thing fail to break out, well, it's likely you're coming back down to that 438 territory that we've been covering multiple times on Neo stock and potentially the bottom of this falling wedge, right? And that would be okay, right? Looking at this thing that has bottomed every single time at 438 would not be a shocker. Right? Would not be a shocker, but regardless, guys, you've seen amazing news come out on Neo and you've seen your first green week in a very long time. We're going to go over the good news, right? Neo Incorporated provides July 2026 delivery update. 35.9 thousand vehicles were delivered in July of 2026, increasing by a 71% year over year. 227 1,000 vehicles were delivered year to date, increasing by 68% year over year. Cumulative deliveries reached 1.2 million as of July 31st. That's absolutely huge. And I've stuck by my thesis on Neo. I think that you're in a dramatically undervalued stock. I think you can just do something, right? Do yourself a favor. Go to Webull, pull up Neo, and go to not just the analyst ratings, right? That's one thing. Average analyst pricing of 737 and 1003, but you can also go over to the financials and you can also go to your income statement, go to revenue, and then go year over year, which is annual. Every single year, traders, you've increased your revenue by about 15% or more. You've seen more dramatic increases like this year of 33%, but every single year you've increased your revenue by 15% or more. That's significant, guys. So you can see the trajectory that Neo stock is on, and it's only going to take a couple more years until you solidify your profitability. You're telling me all these silly chickens, all these people short on Neo are telling me that you're worth the same right now that you were back in 2024? I'm not buying it, bubs. I'm not buying it. So I like the fundamentals. I like the stock. But on the daily time frame, not only did you get a breakout off of that bullish divergence, but you've reestablished this uptrend, guys. So that is your first step that we mentioned in the freaking last video that we talked about. Get above the 9-day EMA and do this tall task, right? Get above the previous uptrend and you will find a potential bottom, right? Furthermore, looking at the stock on the weekly time frame, guys, that's the monthly. Looking at the weekly time frame, you're danger close, guys. You are danger freaking close. You've gotten more volume this week than the previous 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row. So you've seen more volume than the last month in price action. But additionally, guys, right now feels a lot like this U-shaped accumulative structure, right? What's one thing that happened? You also saw very similar signs, volume downtrends that broke, right? When you saw that break, you saw a 7% candle. This was an 8% candle. You saw a stretch upwards from the highs about 8 more percent. So let's say Neo rallies next week, 8 more percent. You then saw a drawdown to the lows again and then ripped. I could see something similar happening verbatim, but one thing I'm watching for sure, guys, is off of that rip, you got above this weekly RSI band, this lagging yellow indicator. That weekly RSI band is what has marked your bottom on every single NEO run. So this is, just to make it clear for you guys, this is why you subscribe, because we have called every single NEO freaking bottom in the last couple of runs. And when the trend is your friend, you stick with the trend. And if you cross this RSI band in the weekly time frame, I would be in the belief that you're about to go for a little bit of a ripper, right? That's your previous NEO bottom. RSI band crossed, you saw an 100% move. RSI band crossed, you saw a slightly equal low, a retest of the band, and then you ripped, right? Same thing back here. RSI band crossed. Whoops, that's the measurement. RSI band crossed, ripper. RSI band crossed, ripper, right? So almost every single time, guys, it has been a very valid technical indicator for NEO stock. So that's what we're watching very closely for the weekly time frame. You technically printed an inside bar this week, so nothing dramatically bullish or bearish. That is just indicating that you are consolidating in a consolidation phase, and the trend should technically still be bearish until you see this either close as a hammer candle, a bullish engulfing, or a break above the previous high at 498. That would invalidate this trend. So that's what we're watching for NEO stock on the weekly time frame. And as you guys all know, this thing is tied to IWM. We'll get into that in just 1 second. But the monthly time frame traders, so many lines on this chart. Our belief is significantly bullish for NEO. Whether or not you come down to your previous uptrend here, that would be an amazing, in my opinion, not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, an amazing opportunity for NEO shareholders. Down here in the left shoulder, right around 370 to 380 on this uptrend. Whether or not you come down there, or whether or not you bottom now, guys, I don't think it's going to matter, because you're sizing up very similarly to this inverted head and shoulders. You broke this resistance and you ripped. You ripped. Very, very similar resistance. Resistance that has been there since we've been talking about NEO stock, right? It was a very funny thing that you rejected it here and you rejected it here. You failed to close above 771. That's a horizontal resistance that will be the trigger point for this squeeze, right? 771 will be the trigger point for this squeeze. But also, guys, closing above this downtrend, in my opinion, takes you upwards of this high right here, $16 to $10, is very, very possible for this stock, especially with the revenue that it's bringing in. And the longer that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, the more likely, guys, that this thing plays as more of arbitrage, especially in China, relying heavily on the Strait of Hormuz, feeling a little bit of pain right now. I believe the best is yet to come for NEO stock, but that's your weekly and semi-bi-weekly technical update for NEO stock. As always, guys, subscribe. Hit the like button so we can get NEO out there. And as always, traders, the best is yet to come. Much love and God bless. Woo!